Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Love. Today is June 22nd, 2023.
Ona ona ikahala me kalehua ahalalehua no ia no kanoe e kau no ia no ine hoi o ka hiki mai a hiki mai no oi a hiki puno me ke aloha aloha aloha
Today's guest is Ken Stone, and he is known as the Soul Archaeologist. Ken is a spiritual teacher, a messenger, and a healer. He is the founder of the Resonance Experiment and author of the forthcoming book, Resonance, the Path of Spiritual Mastery. God expresses through Ken in a unique way. When people sit with him in transmission, they have a profoundly different experience of the divine in their body. For example, he has worked with a number of advanced former students of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who each said, unprompted, following their initial session with him, "That was the deepest spiritual experience of my life." Ken helps elite athletes, high-performing teams, and spiritual messengers unlock and express their divine potential on the playing field and in the world. His work helps individuals and teams open sustaining deep flow states so they can live life in, quote, the zone, professionally and personally. Ken sent this email to me last winter solstice, and because we just yesterday experienced beautiful summer solstice here in the northern hemisphere, and it's the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere, I wanted to read this before I actually let you meet Ken and really experience this resonant human being. He wrote, "I've been thinking of those times when I thought I knew better, when I looked down on others, thinking I had the truth, but they didn't, when I felt superior and or someone else seemed inferior. In other words, times when I was more identified with my separate self than my whole self. The more I embody and integrate, the less I feel these things. Not because I'm trying to reject the separate feelings or perspective, but because as the noise underneath these feelings melts away and more of my whole self embodies and integrates, the more I can see my own developmental journey in consciousness as a beautiful experience without exception. The more I see the same in everyone, the more I see we are all the same, undistorted expressions of the divine, however different we might appear to be. Or how, even in our fully integrated state, each of us is having a unique experience and often interpreting what is unfolding differently. Perhaps most importantly, how we are all, each of us on this planet, doing exactly what we need to do to integrate. Whether I'm capable of loving everyone exactly as they are and as much as I love the divine, it's more and more experientially clear to me how absolute and unconditional God's love is for everyone and everything exactly as it is. What began as an experience of judgment, embarrassment, and shame has become an experience of love and appreciation, an unexpected and powerful spiritual masterclass, a reminder of how powerful the separate self is in supporting the process of integration. The perfect close to the year and a profound experience upon which to meditate on this December solstice 2022. And as we forward on this June summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere and winter solstice 2023 in the Southern Hemisphere, we welcome Ken Stone to Conversations with Love. Hello.
Wonderful to be with you, Lee. Thanks for having me.
So can you tell us what is soul resonance in your life or in your experience, and how do you sustain it moment to moment?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess one of the things to do maybe is just to define what I mean by soul. And so for me, the soul is the conduit or the vessel through which we encounter and experience divine presence, and through which divine presence animates every aspect of our being expression. And so I know in some traditions, the soul is not individuated. And so whatever substitution is helpful in that regard. For me, soul is the word that resonates, but for others, it might be spirit, or maybe there's another word to describe that. In any case, soul resonance is another way of referring to divine resonance, which is another way of talking about the undistorted experience of divinity in, through, and as each of us. But rather than trying to conceptualize it on a collective, I think it's interesting to, at least initially, and maybe on a sustaining basis, just explore that internally. So within oneself. And so how do we sustain that? You know, I think it's part of an extraordinary developmental journey, really, in consciousness. You know, it's in one particular stage of consciousness, at least through my perceptual lens, you know, the way we sustain or engage in resonant experiences is we create them, we cause them to come into being. But at least in the way that I perceive it, there's another stage of consciousness in which those resonant experiences are simply bubbling up and expressing, you know, in and through and as each of us. And in that stage of consciousness, in that third stage, we don't have to do anything to sustain the experience other than perhaps to remind ourselves that we're not the cause of the resonant experience, you know, that we're, you know, we're being held in a field of love, of divine presence. And that love is expressing or making itself known and erupting into our awareness in lots of different ways. And the sustaining factor is just maybe to continually get out of the way and let go of control rather than trying to exert more control.
That's really beautiful. So I looked up the words just because. So this is what I found for the word resonance. And I'm so grateful that you gave us your definition of what is soul. Because I think it really matters that we actually do remember that. You said so many beautiful things. So what I found was resonance is a quality. It's a quality of richness. It's a quality of evoking response. It's also a term in chemistry.
Mhm.
And it's conceptual alternation that aids in understanding the actual state of the species. It is also conspicuously full and rich sounds
Mm.
or tones. And
Yes.
then the synonyms, golden, and two new ones for me, orotund and plangent, resounding, reverberant, rotund, sonorous, and vibrant. And everything you've said to me speaks to this balance of healthy life. So let's go to the next step. And can you speak to us about what is the resonance experiment that you've embarked upon with many other leaders in living a healthy, balanced life?
Well, I mean, for me, the word resonance is such a powerful word because it has a meaning that each of us bring to it. And we don't even have to agree about it. There's freedom in the word resonance. And, for some person, a sustaining experience of resonance might be a roof over their head. And another person might be having enough food to eat, and someone else might be fill in the blank, right? I mean, it could be, having extraordinary peak experiences, or I don't know what, right? A relationship that's fulfilling, and on and on. And I would say not so much the premise of my work in the sense that I had an idea ahead of time, but the idea that has revealed itself, or the theme underneath those experiences that God expresses through me in groups and individuals, has been, or divinity, or whatever name you want to use for that, has been that energy underlies everything else. That is the originating source of all resonance, whatever it is, right? Whatever the definition is. So the resonance experiment is about inviting large groups of people to come together virtually and explore and experience resonance in their body. But it's not about me saying, here's what you're going to experience. It's about each person discovering that for themselves within themselves. And so, of course, it has a different meaning and a different experience for each person, because however that dynamic erupts within the individual, it's very personal, right? If it's happening within their body, that's something that's a very intimate kind of dynamic. And I find that fascinating because, I mean, first of all, to be able to do that virtually, to be able to do it with people who are participating, air quotes, live, and people who are listening to a recording, each of them having their own unique experience. There's a collective dynamic that's unfolding, but in the context of that collective is an individual experience within each person. And I find that fascinating. I think that's so interesting because, so often I think we're sort of told, here's what it will look like if you ... right? And I sort of like to say, I wonder what it might be like if you had an experience of resonance, or even what that would mean to you, or what that experience might be. And then what kind of impact might that have in your life, or in the experience of your body, or with your health, or in, any variety of different things. But the context of it is brought by each person who participates, rather than something that I'm trying to set down for each participant, if that makes sense.
It totally does. Because, what does the good book say? When more than one of you is present, I am there.
Right.
And so, okay, so I'll just kind of, for me, when I was a very young woman, I felt completely I felt so traumatized in my life that I didn't feel like I even had the right to a soul.
Right.
And I know this is a lot of, baggage of religious misinterpretations, frankly. However, I'm just wondering if you might be able to lead us in a process where those who are in situations of really grave danger, where you feel like your life is being taken from you, or it might even be in these areas where humanity is warring against itself.
Sure.
Could you lead us into a process where you can I know it might happen, but just to bring that resonance into a body that feels
Sure.
so traumatized that it can't connect.
Sure. Yeah, if we can set the stage a little bit for that, I think that might be helpful for everyone who's listening and participating. One of the things, I really appreciate your vulnerability in sharing this, Lee, and I think it's an important thing to be able to talk about, the role of trauma and the kind of influence that trauma has on these kind of disconnected or even fundamentally disconnected kinds of experiences, and how that for many people, those kinds of dynamics unfold early in life. And so that, can really have a profound impact on one's trajectory in life, one's sense of safety, and so on and so forth. So I'm happy to do that. And we can do that right now. The only thing that I would ask is that for everyone who's listening, that you not try to participate in anything else, but especially not driving a vehicle or operating heavy equipment. So maybe there's a way that people might participate or be participating right now in an audio only dynamic. And all I can tell you is that I have no idea what will happen for you, but I can tell you that for a great many people over the years that I've been doing this, they have had experiences that they describe as going to sleep. And a buddy of mine teased me years ago. He knew I didn't like the word guru and felt uncomfortable with it. And he said, "You're going to be known as the boring guru because you put people to sleep, Ken," which I thought was both hilarious and agitating because he used the word guru. But anyway, I'm absolutely convinced nobody's going to sleep. I think they're falling out. But whatever it is that's happening, if you were driving a car and you were listening to my voice and all of a sudden you disappeared, that would not be a safe experience for you or potentially other people. So that's why I'm saying, and if you're listening to me and you're thinking, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, I mean, listen, I could agree with you. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but just for the sake of your own safety and everyone else's, pretend for a moment that what I'm saying here is right and just pull off to the side of the road, please. Beyond that, I would say just be with the experience for yourself. I think often with heart-centered individuals, it can be easy to try to direct energy to some place on the planet or to some loved one. And my invitation to you would be to not do that, but just to be with your own experience as we do a little soul embodiment here. And then if there are people for whom you would love to share the experience with, you can invite them to, participate, to listen to this conversation that Lee and I are having and to participate in the experience. And if they want to go deeper, there are other resources that we can direct them towards. Okay. There's my little disclaimer at the beginning. Shall we just dive in? Okay.
Yes, please.
Beautiful. So if it's comfortable, I would just invite you to close your eyes and breathe in and out through the nostrils and have your palms to the sky. And mind you, I'm saying if it's comfortable. If it's not, don't close your eyes. Breathe however you want. Don't put your palms to the sky. It doesn't matter. Divinity. I just say be in a comfortable position. Divinity doesn't really care. It's just palms up can be a wonderful receiving place if it resonates for you. And then we'll do a little bit of breathing, and you may or may not hear me say the words, "Let's begin." And when I do, that's the point at which we're sort of transitioning into what I think of as transmission, meaning I'm becoming aware of the aspect of me that is expressing as you. We're beginning to work together on a much deeper level. And maybe I'll say some things, maybe it'll be largely in silence. I have no idea. But if I say something and you have no idea of the word that I'm using, or it's not about the words, we could just be in silence for the next 5 hours if we had it to share. And the words are not the conveyance at all. If anything, the words are up here giving our minds something to hold on to as long as they need it. Something else is unfolding at a much deeper level. Okay. Deep breath in. Hold. And then release all the way out to the count of 8. And as you let go, I invite you to let go of everything that has come before in this day. Everything. Doesn't matter how resonant or dissonant it was or is. Just breathe it all out. Another deep breath in. Hold. And release. This time, as you breathe out, letting go of everything that has come before since you were born, all the way out to the count of 8. And as you let go, you are effectively opening the slate of your expression to be blank, to be freshly animated. The whiteboard of your being expression, blank, that the divine, or whatever name that you refer to the nameless one as, may freshly animate and express. And another deep breath in. Hold. And now, as you release this breath, letting go of everything that has come before since the inception of your soul, all the way out to the count of 8. It doesn't matter if we even understand what these words mean. It's just a way of making space for the void, for the emptiness, for absolute presence, for divinity. Or whatever remains in separation, I invite you to remove the universal plug. I'll do the same. Let's begin. Seven. In a conscious soul embodiment practice, there's an opportunity to feel without story, without narrative, just the raw feeling. Could be an emotional feeling, Could be a physical feeling, could be something that can't be categorized. If you find yourself stretching to figure out what it is, that's the mechanism of story or narrative. If you can, let go of that. If you find yourself feeling nothing, perfect. If you feel a bunch of stuff, perfect. There's no way you can mess this up. If you don't want to feel it and it's coming up, no problem. You're in charge. 6. When you feel things in a conscious embodiment practice, the noise, the dissonance that comes up, it is transmuted. It's a way of unwrapping a gift, the gift of the whole self, or the gift of the as yet unintegrated self. All you have to do is just feel it. And you can put it on the back burner or ignore it if you want. It's up to you. No problem. 5. Another thing that can happen in a conscious soul embodiment practice is the body can feel very heavy. Sometimes that can be associated with something negative. In this case, it's a very powerful feeling. If it's not happening for you, no problem. If you're barely hanging on to my words, let them go. Everything I'm saying does not matter. The experience is already unfolding within you. 4. There can be sensations of what I think of as physical resonance, buzzing, tingling, like warm oil or water. Lots of different things can come up. Might be entirely resonant, just spontaneous experiences of resonance throughout the body and being. Whatever is unfolding for you is perfect. You can't mess this up. For that matter, you haven't messed this up. If we're talking about this experience, that's true. If we're talking about this life, it's also true. You're just doing like everyone else on the planet. We're doing exactly what we need to do to integrate. 3. No wasted effort. It's all perfect. Maybe not in a way that our separate selves recognize or understand or even experience, but it is perfect because you're integrating. And how do you know you're integrating? Because you're getting your buttons pushed. Things are animating your as yet unintegrated self. You get bothered by things, get irritated, frustrated. Maybe you keep it to yourself. Maybe you're vocal about it. Either way, all that is the as yet unintegrated whole self saying, hey, I've got a gift for you. Are you ready? 2. Most gifts, at least if you're anything like me, when I was young, at least, I wanted to know, what is this gift? What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What's it going to do for me? Am I going to have fun with it? This gift is a step into the unknown. Instead of clarity, it comes with what at least initially feels like something is obscured, like a fog bank has descended. As that fog bank descends, think of it as the divine mystery. The gift is greater intimacy with the divine mystery. One. If there was only one thing that I ever got to do with you, this would be it. Some conscious soul embodiment. From my perspective, this is the beginning to everything. This is the opening. I can even feel the opening, the enlivenment of the third eye in the collective circle here. I tend to feel things in my body, sort of the first form of intuition I have. And my third eye is buzzing so much right now. I want to reach up and rub my forehead. It's so strong. There's a really interesting connection between dropping into the hips all the way down into the first. The connection's really between the second and the sixth. It's fascinating what happens, even with somebody who's already has an incredibly developed intuitive faculty, but also with people who aren't really aware of it yet, or maybe they're aware of it, but it's not very developed. Anyway, so many gifts of soul embodiment. And I'm realizing that, Lee, this is my entire life is in this space. So for me, we could just step off here into silence and have to set an alarm for some hours down the line. I want to check in with you too, if you have words or anything that you want to give voice to or reflect on or ask about. And also we could just be in silence for a while together. It's really lovely.
We have time to be in silence for a while, and then
Beautiful.
we can share. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lee. And deep, deep gratitude to everyone who is participating in the circle here. Sometimes it can be helpful, things come up, the movies start running, maybe the discomfort gets to be a little bit more than what is acceptable. And it can be helpful to give the mind a little bit of an exercise. And so just notice the breath as it moves into the body, in through the nostrils, up towards the crown, down into the lungs, eventually the abdomen, and after a while, deep, deep into the hips. A cue of breath in front of your face, breath of the planet, serving everyone and everything. A reminder of your connection with it. Breath of the cosmos, your connection with it. Divine light, underwriting everything. The divine is becoming you, and you are becoming the divine. Eventually, with conscious soul embodiment, we begin to encounter those traumas that were so significant in each of our own developmental journey. And as always, there's that invitation to feel. It's like the wounds and the traumas that maybe some of us, or perhaps even each of us, have identified at different times in our lives as being the reason why this or that is true, or we feel stuck. They become the pathway to actually experiencing ourselves as we really are, as undistorted expressions and extensions of divinity, or as we allow ourselves to feel whatever it is that we were incomplete with when we were younger. That wrapping paper is transmuted and the whole self is revealed more fully and is allowed to integrate. And resources come to bear merely by your embodied presence. They need not be evoked. They are there simply by your being expression. Beautiful work. Really beautiful work. Really beautiful. So we have a complete experience, and you can do this at the end of our time together. You can pause the replay and let this space last as long as you like, and then press start again when you're ready to complete. But when it's time, when you're ready to conclude, I invite you to return that universal plug. I'll do the same as I bring this transmission to a close. And what an honor it is to sit with you in this space, Lee, and everyone in the circle here. Thank you. What's coming up? Anything to give voice to or ask about or reflect on or explore?
There's freedom in the word. Resonance. Let it be what it needs to be for you, and just allow yourself to go there. Just thank you for bringing me to this courageous space for myself personally, and we are getting already close to the end of time for this particular gathering. And there are several of you who've been with us since we began Conversations with Love today. Is there anything, if you'd like to speak with Ken, I'm happy to let you introduce yourself. Just know that we are live on Facebook, and this recording will go wherever it's going to go. So
careful what you say.
Sure.
I'm just kidding. Don't be careful.
The horse is up. When you said go, we go. Okay. We're already moving, flowing in the river, right?
We can't.
In the river,
we can't
right?
hold anything back, even if we wanted to.
Not a chance. So please unmute yourself and come on live with Ken if you'd like to. If not, we will or you can raise your hand. I know there's that capacity on this beautiful Zoom platform. There's someone. Hello, let me pin you. Please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee, and thank you, Ken, for that beautiful transmission. I felt called to share that I didn't realize how overactive my third eye was. And throughout the transmission, I just felt this loosening of whatever was going on up there. So yeah, really, I just want to say thank you for that. It feels good. It is good.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Ken, for answering so many questions. How do you sustain this moment-to-moment connection with the remembrance of all that is, and be in the flow of creation and life? And you just brought us so many gifts on Conversations with Love. I'm just like jumping for joy, because I really had the sense that we were going to give thanks and praises in a way I've not been able to before, and it feels really good. Thank you.
It's an honor.
There's I'd like to share with people how they can reach you. You have your website, and you have the affiliate program to sign up for this program that you do. That's a free program. Do you want to talk a little bit about how to continue with you and how to get on your mailing list? And
Sure. Yeah. My website is kenwstone.com, just my name, middle initial, last name. And the program you're referencing is called Exploring Divine Resonance. And it's a 17-week program. It's not let's just say anytime if you want to walk with me, it's probably going to be a chewy, deep experience. I'm not very good at like little surface kind of encounters energetically or in conversation. I really like to sink in. So, I've been exploring this gift with others since the beginning of 2008. And for a lot of years, I didn't have really a lot of language to be able to describe it. And then all this structure came in, and these downloads and spiritual practices, and I've taught those, over the years, and that's been wonderful and fulfilling. And when it came to this particular program, I really just committed myself to stepping into the mystery with a group. And so I didn't have a sense of here's the arc we're going to take, or here's what's going to happen. And consequently, and I wanted it to be something that was accessible. And so I made it free, and it continues to be free. And when you register for it, you actually get a login to my online learning platform, and you can see the transcription, and it's all machine learning. So keep in mind, it's not, entirely accurate, but it gives you a reference point if there's an idea, to figure out where in the recording and so on. But the point I'm trying to make is it's more than just a dip in the putting your toe into the water, but it doesn't have to be, right? You could just start and see what happens. We could just hang out for the first session, and you can just see, oh, does this resonate? Is this supportive of the kind of work that is showing up for me to do right now? And maybe it is, and maybe it's not. I mean, I completely recognize that, the manner in which divinity expresses through each of us on the planet resonates with some people and it doesn't with others. I'm not coming from a tradition or a formal kind of background or education or studying under a guru or anything like that. So basically, the way I communicate is just, let's say, language that comes from the journey of embodiment and integration that I've been on since 2008. And it probably reflects, my life prior to that as well. But I didn't have any idea that my purpose had something to do with spirituality. I was a mortgage lender, thinking that my purpose had something to do with optimizing financial assets and tax strategy and so on. So this is a bit of an unexpected turn for me. In any case, the series turns out to be this 17-week exploration, and it really is a pretty comprehensive set of resources of conversations. There's a transmission in each of the classes or sessions. There's a Q&A. There's an opportunity for you to submit questions through the online learning platform, and then I'll personally respond to you there. I really prefer to do that, if you're okay with it, on the online learning platform, because other people are participating all the time. And so then it becomes a collective resource. Your question, your reflection becomes something, and you'll see this as you go through it, if you do. Others have commented and reflected and asked questions, and then there's just this growing, not just community, but also set of resources and reference points. And that is a wonderful first step for diving in, and it'll keep you busy for a while too. What's 17 weeks? I mean, that's more than 4 months. So, and then there are ways to continue on, if you want, and you'll get an email that says here are some options and so on. But in terms of getting started, it's a wonderful place to start and take the next step. And if what happened in our little spontaneous transmission here resonated with you, and I'd love to invite you to come explore that program.
A conversation with love for 17 weeks with Ken W. Stone. I think that sounds like a really good idea.
For the low price of free.
Right? Amazing. That is just, wow, such generosity. I'm not surprised. So the program is called Exploring Divine Resonance, and we can find it on your website, kenwstone.com.
Yeah. And you could also, if you just wanted to go to it directly, you could go to exploringdivineresonance.com, and it'll just redirect in. And then you just put your name and your email address in. And as I say, you'll get a login to my online learning platform. And then the classes are all there. And you'll get a little email. I think it sends an email out once a week, and it's got a study guide in it and, some prompts for some inner work and so on. And then the classes are there. And if you're somebody who likes to jump ahead, you can do that. It's not limited. It's not like time delayed and all that excitement. I've done that in the past, but with this one, I was just like, come on, let's explore. However it resonates, let's explore.
That's wonderful. That's really exciting, actually. I was a little bit confused because I had found another program that you'd done that was just a 3-parter.
Yeah.
This one sounds very exciting, Ken. I'm just so grateful to meet you. And I'm looking forward to more. Thank you so much for bringing this beautiful gift to us here on Conversations with Love today. We are live the 11th and the 22nd of the month. We are on hiatus for the summer. So enjoy a beautiful summer holiday or winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. And we will see you back again in September. And I highly recommend taking Ken up on his offer of generously exploring divine resonance in community. What a beautiful gift.
Thanks for having me on, Lee. It's been wonderful to share time with you and with your community. I'm grateful
Thank
for the
you.
opportunity.
Thank you very much. Until we meet again, everyone, love yourself and the planet. Bye for now.